Hey, Lordy, look at the time.
M-PWRD.
That means we're live.
We're live.
But, yeah, we're live, and we'll just kick it off. But anyway, what were you saying? Sorry,
I can't remember now.
something about why did I set the podcast up?
Yes. So why did you set the podcast up?
Just because I wanted to have these conversations that I have all the time with loads of cool people, and record them and document them so that other people can just be party to listening and just seeing if there's anything you can take from it. Like we were talking about the conversation with David Breton. There's just little nuggets that you have conversations all the time when you're doing your own business or when you're working. And some of the best things, some of the best advice that you get that you carry forward into your everyday life and business and work and whatnot, come from those like little conversations with people.
Yeah.
And I think for people like us, mate, like from working class backgrounds, having access to these conversations would have allowed us to accelerate what we've been able to do. I think we've done what we've done pretty quickly anyway, in terms of like lifespan.
Yeah.
But that's just because we put ourselves out there and we put ourselves about, and we had those conversations with people that some people don't even know that these conversations exist. Like,
I wonder how many people are actually doing podcasts now though, because of the sexiness of it, like in terms of the business as well. Like podcasts can make money if they're well.
Yeah.
And it's easy to clip a shitload of content out of an hour's long podcast or however long they are. I mean, like I was saying to you there, I had a podcast about, I want to say 5 years ago. I had pretty big likes of Chris Williamson. I had all them on there.
yeah.
Again, but it was something that I just thought there was no ROI in it. It was just taking too much time. Probably being a little bit impatient, immature, if you like, or naive to the scenario that actually adds. If you keep this going, you can probably make a few quid, or at least leverage that to do something with. But I never did. Again, it's like, and now I see them everywhere. I actually, even with my own podcast, I think, is this a waste of time? Sometimes I do think that. Like, I know it's probably negative, but I see them that much. It's like, why is someone going to tune into me?
I get what you mean. I think that you don't necessarily have to have a giant following. Like, you know, through yourself, through being involved in social media and putting content out there. Like, we were talking about some of your clients and some of the people that you work with. They don't have thousands and thousands of clients. Some of them have tens and, and up to hundreds of clients. But actually, you can make a good business off 50 people being really interested in what you do.
100%.
It doesn't necessarily have to be millions of people. Obviously, yeah, it's great if you do have millions of people, because then you can push a product out to tons of people and get some return on that. But actually, if you've got like 50 advocates for whatever you're doing, it's a really good start.
I wonder if you'd change the quality of your conversations. Like, you know, if someone said to you, right, Alex, you've got 1.9 million followers, or 1.9 million listeners to this conversation, I wonder how much the conversation would actually change.
Oh, mate, I'd be shitting myself.
That's the thing, isn't it?
Because the thing is, like, the amount of people who are going to watch this, there's going to be, you know, probably like 1,000 people on YouTube for the time being. That's roughly how many we get. Now, because of that, there's obviously people at both ends of the spectrum on any topic. You know, there's people on both ends of the spectrum of everything. 90% of people actually sit in the middle. You wouldn't think it, but on every single topic, 90% of people sit like right in the middle.
Yeah,
do you know, just on anything?
Yeah.
But the extremities are like the people who are asked about it. And if you're asked about something, you'll be loud about it. So anything you talk about that potentially like triggers people at those extremes, like right now, there might be, you know, 100 people who fall into that category, you know, 50 one way, 50 the other. And the chances of those 100 people taking like massive offense to the stuff that we say or taking things massively out of context is low. Every time you amplify that, you just bring more and more people into that mix. And then there's going to be people who like really feel strongly about what you're saying. So I guess that's a reason that you have to be a little bit more mindful.
Do you think you've got to be quite polarising then, though, in a way? Because you've got to get someone to go one way or the other. It's no good just being that on the fence, quite, you know, about everything, I just don't really have much of an opinion on it. I think you've got to be a little bit like, this is the crack, like, almost, not, I wouldn't say cocky or arrogant, but you know what I mean? You've kind of got to be a bit like, because I know when I put out content, I know that people are going to either like the content or not like me. Yeah. I do feel that way strongly. I don't know why. Maybe it's just experience I've had in business and stuff, but I think because you're creating the content yourself, you're actually creating content I still believe, although it's genuine, I still believe there's an element of some kind of, I want to say fakeness to it. So here's a good example, right? I made a video saying I made a video saying smash your iPhone when you go to the gym, and it was a bit of a play on words. Like
I remember that.
And what I was trying to say is, if you broke your phone, would your workout be the same as if you had your phone on you? I think it would be completely different. I think you would train properly. You would be in and out because you're not dicking around on your phone. And your workout would look completely different. I mean, I'm all for filming your workouts. You're looking at form. You're trying to put out social media content. I get all that. It's ultimately what I do for a business. But
yeah,
if you were to really, if you're one of those people who really want to up their game in the gym, I don't believe you need your phone with you. And it's just interesting to me how many people their training would actually change if you had a broken phone.
Yeah, it's just a distraction, isn't it? I feel like, for me personally, if I'm going to do a workout by myself, I'll use my phone as a timer. But then I'm pretty motivated and I enjoy doing it. I think that was one of the hardest things for me to understand, that a lot of people just don't enjoy working out. So they see it as a chore, whereas I really love it and actually enjoy the feeling of it. So it wasn't a problem for me and I wouldn't get distracted.
Yeah.
But if it's not something that you kind of completely enjoy doing, then I get why you would do that. And yeah, massively, you would. I mean, it changes everything. It changes your whole mentality, doesn't it?
It does.
You know, sometimes I forget, what did we even do before do you know when you go to the doctors now, it doesn't feel like you've got a long wait time no matter what, because you're just on your phone. Every single second of free time is taken up.
You know what's funny?
By your phone.
It's funny you say that. So today, literally, finished a job and I thought I'm going to stop off for some food. Went to a grill, a place near where I live. And anyway, there was a wait time. There was about a 5-minute wait time. So I went back to the car, picked up my phone, and I said to my other half, I said, I'm grabbing my phone just in case I've got nothing to do. I'm waiting around and I don't really want to make conversation with the people in there. I was just, when you're hungry, I was I was starving. I just wanted some bait and I didn't want to even converse with the people. And how rude of me is that? Do you get what I'm saying? But all I wanted to do was get my head in my phone just to almost get through them 5 minutes of waiting.
Yeah.
Now, for me to say that, that's absolutely embarrassing. But I bet you there's thousands or millions of people who do exactly the same thing every day.
But this is the thing, though, you get real dopamine from it. You actually get a dopamine hit from your phone.
I don't even think I do it for that reason, though.
Bing or but no, it's not about your phone. It's a portal for information. You get information from it. And as humans, we're thirsty for information. So when we think we can get new info from there, someone said something, something's happened, something's progressed. It might not always be just bullshit, just going, oh, let's look at some silly dances on TikTok. It might be has a client messaged? Is there a new inbox in there? Can I drop a message to someone? You're addicted to that new information, that new stimulus of information. And yeah, it's difficult. It's, what some of the people, some of the smartest people in history, we have more access to more information on our phone in 5 minutes than they had to access to information in their entire life. Yeah. That's actually crazy, isn't it? No wonder it's difficult to navigate.
I think you've got to kind of partition it, though, me. I understand what you're saying there about, it's like a portal, you've got access to information, etc. But, I mean, if I ask you this question, can you remember the last time you waited in line for some food, or when your missus was in a shop and you weren't in the same shop and you were waiting outside, for argument's sake, when you didn't look at your phone? No. But I don't think that's good.
I don't know that I'm checking my phone.
How mad's that?
I just slip it out my pocket, into my hand, flip it round in my hand, and before I even know, I'm on my phone.
And do you even know what you're looking at?
Well,
Are you going to the news app?
I'm waiting for it to tell me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm waiting. Right, I've got a notification. Oh, that email's back in. Okay, I can deal with that now, or not. Or someone's messaged me, or there's something else. Sometimes I'm just bouncing between things, and I actually bounce between tasks quite a lot, even at work. If I've got a task to do, I find it too boring to do one task, so I'll ping pong back and forward between a couple of different tasks, doing a couple of minutes on each of them. It's not the best way, but I just can't keep my focus on one task for a prolonged period of time. So I'll just be flittering through, and I might be editing something, and I'm also doing something written at the same time. And I like the editing stuff, and the written stuff's boring, so I do a couple of minutes on that, treat myself, do a couple of minutes on that, treat myself, shop on my phone.
But do you not think that
that
is because you've got that option though? Like that's what I'm saying.
yeah,
If you take that option away, that written task, it might be boring, but you would have did that task.
You get it through quick. Yeah, there's argument that you would get through it quicker because you don't have that time to kind of have to think about the crossover. No, 100%. I think, one of the best things you can do is set boundaries for yourself. Like I try and, spend at least 20 minutes before bed not looking at my screen or anything like that. And it's a conscious effort. I'm having to avoid it.
Yeah.
Avoid just picking it up and using it for the torch, picking it up and using it for
It's
other
horrendous,
shit.
isn't it?
Mainly that's because I wear blue light glasses all the way up until I go to bed. So after about 3 o'clock,
Are you wearing them now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
After about 3 o'clock, I'll start wearing blue light glasses. Just because I find that I just fall straight asleep. And then 30 minutes before bed, I'll take my glasses off. So I just try not to look at the screen again. I don't know if it's psychological. I don't know if I'll be lying in bed going, fuck, I just looked at the screen. Well, that's me.
I think there is studies to actually say that people don't know if they even work. Blue light blockers and stuff like that.
I definitely feel...
I agree. I've worn them before.
I definitely feel the difference. So whether it is a placebo or not, but then I don't know if it is because I feel like my eyes aren't as sore when I have them on. So that I don't think that can be a placebo.
And that's good enough. But the thing is, there's nothing wrong with placebo. If you can do something which will make you feel a certain way, whether it's actually happening or not, it's working. So, you know what I mean? Like, keep doing that thing.
Mate, some of the best motivation that you have in your life when it comes to different things comes from the placebo effect. You used to probably do it when you were a kid.
100%.
Right, you ever been out for a jog? Mm-hmm. It's a placebo to say, if I don't get to that lamppost before that car does, I'll die.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a placebo effect because there's...
Or if you're running up the stairs when you're the last one going upstairs, someone's going to get us if I don't charge up these stairs.
That's the placebo effect. So you'll be running and then you'll go, right, if I don't get to that lamppost before that car coming the opposite direction does, I'll die. So you got to run. Or when I used to play basketball and train by myself, okay, if I miss this shot, I'll never make it. Or if I hit these next 3 shots in a row. And it's motivation. It's little things in your head. And if you carry that forward...
Slightly psychopathic as well, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, probably.
I'll die if I don't make the shot is quite...
I'll die and I'll take everyone with me. I'm not going out alone.
But it is, isn't it?
Yeah, fully, yeah. But it's... Some of the best motivation you can get is just from little silly ones like that.
Yeah, it is.
Because the stakes are nothing, but you perceive them to be something in your head.
But that's what it is. It's trying to let, for me, as a creator on social media, it's using what you see as whether it's placebo or some kind of motivator, if you like. It's because how many people, yourself, mate, I mean, this conversation's been had a million times around the world, but you do choose to what you see on social, don't you? Ultimately. And I know it's easier said to block all the negative people, but you don't know what's negative until you feel a certain way. So it's very hard to choose what you see in that respect because you don't know what's going to trigger you. Yeah. If you can say it, but it is up to you to ultimately be motivated. There's nothing that can motivate you. Just I'm going to motivate you.
Yeah.
You need to be open to be motivated as well.
Yeah. It's more habitual than relying on that motivation. It's putting yourself in those positions again, putting yourself in a position to succeed. I used to have a saying that I used to love, and I don't think I've said it for a while, but I really used to live by it. And it's not right place at the right time. It's at the right place every time. Yeah. And one time will be the right time. Because if you just think that you're just going to turn up that one day and the scout's going to be there and he's going to see you and it's all going to be great from there, you're lying to yourself. You turn up to every game and you smash it, and then eventually the scout's there.
100%.
Because you've been making ripples. And it's you've got to do that. You've got to be in the right place every time, grinding away. And eventually, the stars will align or whatever. It's like the overnight success. It takes years and years and years of doing the same shit day in, day out. You asked me about the podcast. Obviously, love having these conversations. I feel like I build my network a little bit with it as well. So bringing people in, speaking to them, it's good to keep in touch with them and have these kind of... It binds you together a little bit through social media. You've got posts that you'll do some posts shouting them out and stuff like that. But also, it's a chance to do something and grow it and see something develop and see what it can become.
That's what do you know what? It's funny you say that because that's what I think as well. Yes, you're getting social media content out of it. right? But we actually had this time together.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We
Yeah,
actually did. Like,
100%.
I'm not on my phone.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We actually did sit down and have this chat regardless, which would never have happened if the podcast wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
And I think that is the thing, isn't it? It's like, it's ultimately, that's why more people should podcast, even if they weren't going online.
Yeah.
Ultimately, why wouldn't you sit down and have a chat?
Yeah.
I had a podcast with, I can't remember the guest now. Anyway, this has been like a common theme. We've had this same conversation. Like, there's no phone. It's almost like counselling. You're sitting down as blokes and just having a crack, just chopping it up and saying what like. There's no real direction. Again, similar to what I do. There's no script here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's a lovely environment. I'm coming down, I'm sitting, I'm having a chat, and it's almost like gets out the house for an hour. You know what I mean? It's like,
out, don't you? And you just
of course you do, and I think you leave
out about yourself.
Yeah, you leave motivated every time as well. Like, especially if you can meet someone who can bring the same type of energy. Like, I'm quite like, it's very hard to shake the energy out of me. Like, it's very, I'm just on fire all the time, and it's like, in terms of just me mind, I'm wired constantly.
You're just thinking about things all of the time.
Ridiculous, mate.
But you know what? I see these as well as like soundboarding sessions. Like I get things out, someone gets things out. And this is the thing that I love about conversations, and I always love having conversations with like different people. I love having conversations with the same people over and over again, because I feel like there's an art to that as well, where, you know, you can see your difference in opinion, your opinion like changing slightly over the conversations, and you know, you become like an accumulation of the people that you spend the most time with. So choosing to spend your time with people that are coming with like really good ideas, and you're bouncing ideas off you. And this is why I love talking to people who've got slightly differing opinions on things as well. I'll never back down from that, because if I can leave that conversation being, you know, 1 degree moving in a different direction as a result of it, and they can as well, then that's the way to kind of develop as a person.
Do you know what? The other thing, mate, I would say as well, like, you've got kids as well, haven't you? So, like, ultimately, right, what would you have did to have listened to hours and hours of conversations from your mum or dad?
Oh, yeah.
Imagine that. Or imagine your nana or granddad.
Yeah.
And you're going, fucking hell, I'm just going to listen to like 10 hours of me nana having conversations with business people, like, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, it's fucking cool as fuck. So for me, the reason why I'm so involved now in this podcast thing, like invested rather, is purely because, like, don't get me wrong, mate, if things come off, it's fucking brilliant, but I can't put that as a goal because they're not really tangible things. It is what it is. Like, if something happens, it happens. But ultimately, it's like, my daughter's going to be like, me dad was, what was he doing at that age? Like, that's what he was doing. Because there is going to be a day that I'm going to be gone.
It's
ultimately,
and
it is there. It's not like, I know it can be a bit cliche, like, I'm documenting my life, but it's not really about that. It's like, no, you were documenting your thinking. More than anything else. Like, how did you you could have fucking Tommy Robinson on here. You could have a really big, you know, a conversation with someone like that, or a debate or whatever. And it's almost like, but I understood how he was as a person, how he actually thought, how he operated. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I like to get big thinkers on. Like, I've had some quite high profiles on my podcast, and for instance, I had a conversation with Ben Davison about Tyson Fury when he trained him for his comeback fight and stuff as well. And I was like, we had a conversation about that and how he felt, and when he was growing up, and how he would get to that position. And it's almost like, because I've watched that back, and I don't watch all my podcasts back, but I watched because I was particularly proud of that one. And I watched that back, and I was like, fucking hell, lads, like, you did all right there. Like, you held your own, because, mate, I was nervous as fuck for that podcast. Because I remember watching people like him and thinking, fuck me, like, imagine having a sit down, to a point where I actually got hired by Ben, and I know him now. Do you know what I mean? You know, he's like a connection of mine. So it's like, it's mad to think that if I watch that back and I can see what my thinking was then, what would my daughter or my daughter's daughter or whatever think of that? And I think that's where I look and go, you know what? I don't give a shit, genuinely, mate, about what people think of me doing a podcast, because there's always going to be people who say, oh, bless him, he's probably not making any money out of that. There will be people saying that, mate, who are doing the normal job, getting paid every month from it, and they'll not say me business, they'll just say the podcast. And it's like, but what you don't understand is, when you're 50, 60, 70, 80 year old, I guarantee you now, you will wish you had long form content to look at.
Do you know what as well? Like, I saw someone say that, wouldn't it be great if, you know, Jeff Bezos or someone like that had documented what he was doing when he was building Amazon, rather
Alex
than
Amorsi
just
said that.
Just any guy like that. You just want to see what they were up to and how they were operating and where their mind was at. And, you know, there's things that I can probably come back to and look at and see, like, how far I've came. And I mean, like I was saying to you before, with what I do, and I don't talk about it very much on the podcast because it's, you know, it's neither here nor there, but it's difficult to build, you know, long form content around what it is that I do because it's changed so much over the years. But essentially, my clients are businesses or education companies that want to, you know, build online courses. You know, it's not just for everybody. I don't have a product to sell to the masses. Already from doing this podcast, I've built connections and I've strengthened connections of people within businesses that I wanted to work with, and shown my abilities as like a content creator or someone who can, you know, hold a conversation and is, you know, thinks a lot about what he's up to. It's been worthwhile already. Even if I do 100 more podcasts and don't make another connection, the time and effort that I've invested into this podcast and what it's got me so far has been worthwhile. But it's just like an accumulation of people getting to know you and you bringing in new guests and their audience getting to know you and you getting to know them. And, you know, like we were saying before, because we were having a bit of a chat, best known beats best at whatever it is. Like,
yeah, I love that. Like,
yeah, because it's so true, mate. You can even think about it now. There's people out there who are probably more talented than Cristiano Ronaldo, but they just never got the exposure that they needed.
Yeah, of course.
So he, obviously, eventually he surpassed them because he had all the training and everything like that. But there was probably people out there who are naturally more talented, but they just weren't they weren't better known at the time.
Yeah.
And it just never worked for them. And you know, there's businesses like fitness industry, easy. There's personal trainers out there who are way more knowledgeable than me, like were to the detail better at what they did, but they weren't better at getting known than I was. They weren't better at people like marketing or getting myself out there or, you know, doing the intangibles, the soft skills things that brought people in.
Yeah, and that's it. I think sometimes though it can be sad that, you know, because I always remember when I was in uni, and I always remember someone saying to us at the time that there's people who are Tarantinos in their bedroom or Scorsese, and they're never going to get out there. And I know, even now, I've got connections with some of those people who are unbelievable filmmakers. They're unbelievable in this particular industry I'm in now, in the social media world. But what they don't do is they don't know how to put themselves out there. And unfortunately, when there's jobs that come up, it's like I know that I could ultimately, I'll always win the work.
Yeah.
Not because of the talent, and I'm not saying I'm good at what I do, because I believe I am.
But you are good at what you do.
But it's more about my skill set as a, you know, people skills almost, as well as obviously the being able to put yourself out there and knowing how to network.
Like I said before, people will buy from someone they don't like before they buy from someone they don't know. It's impossible to buy from someone you don't know. How, you know what I mean? What are you going to do? Beat down a path to someone's door and be like, oh, you're not working on any filmmaking, are you, in this fucking bedroom by yourself?
Yeah, exactly.
Out of curiosity.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And look, it's a skill. You just said there it's a skill, and if it's a skill, it can be taught. So it's not that I don't have sympathy for people in their individual positions, but I'll use the analogy of sport because there's loads of people that I've spoken to over the years. I played basketball for, 14 years or whatever, and I actually had a conversation with a mate who was basically saying, oh, they were so talented, they were so good at this, that, and the other, they had the perfect body type for it, they would have made it, but they just didn't have the mentality. And I'm like, no, fuck that. They wouldn't have made it then. Like, that's not how it works. Yeah, that's like me going, oh, I'd be
fucking ripped if I started the gym.
I had the skills, I had the motivation, I had the mentality. I just wasn't 7 foot. Well, then what are we talking about here? We're talking about like genuine pillars for success. One of them is the mindset. And if you don't have that and you're not willing to work on it, then I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear how like they had the perfect body type for it or they had the perfect skill set for it, because actually the mindset's just as important. It's like saying, oh, yeah, I'd have made it if I was 7 foot. It's like, what? You're not 7 foot. So what's the point of even saying that?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what's mad, mate, right? I've literally, and I don't think anyone's ever said this before.
Yeah.
I think I've just thought of a mint quote, mate.
Right, okay. Right?
And I think it is this, right? It's ego that gets you there, but it's also ego that stops you. Now, I think I've just made it up, so I'm definitely claiming that.
Yeah.
The content PT ads. But legit, so what I mean by that is I always remember when I worked at Car Phone Warehouse selling phones, And there was an old lady who came in. Now, we used to sell Band X phones, which were iPhones. And if you sold Geek Squad insurance, etc., you would get the top bracket. You get a few quid for your sale, if you like. Anyway, and she came in. She didn't take a lot of photos, da-da-da. And then basically, I remember I sold her an Alcatel. That's what the phone was called. It was a handset pay-as-you-go for about 15 quid. Sold the old lady the phone. She walked off out. And I remember my manager at the time, he came up and said, Ads, he went, what happened there? And I said, what do you mean? Well, I sold her a handset. He said, why didn't you sell her the iPhone? And I was like, well, mate, she was an old woman. She didn't really
work it.
He went, who are you to take that option away from her? And that's when things changed for us, mate. And I realised that's when, because when I was at Carphone Warehouse, I used to almost work like I was self-employed. I think I've always did that. Like, I used to build my own handbook of people who would come in, right, okay, if he comes in again, I'm going to approach him because I've already built a rapport, da-da-da.
Yeah.
And I was great at selling. But I always remember that. Look at anyone with a brand. There's got to be, look at a Ben Francis of the world. Gymshark is clearly built because his own ego, and there's nothing wrong with this.
Yeah.
He wanted to build something greater than him, which is undeniable, and that's ego has to get. But also,
need a bit of ego, yeah.
My ego at Carphone Warehouse stopped me from selling that phone to that lady because I was like, nah, she doesn't need it. I know her best.
Yeah.
That's the problem, and I think you see that a lot. So you've got the most talented creatives in the world who won't leave the bedroom because they're fucking so good at editing. Yeah, but you're only ever going to trade time for money if you edit projects.
Yeah.
How can you create business? And then they're the same people who say, well, Ads doesn't even he doesn't film as great as me, or he doesn't edit as great as me, but how's he working with KSI?
Yeah.
That's the problem. Like, people don't understand that. It's like, yeah, but the difference is I was down at Wembley for fucking a week trying to get that gig, and I was doing this and I was doing that and sending cold emails and I was doing all that shit and doing free work up and down the country and 2,000 miles a week and fucking all that shit.
Yeah.
But no one sees that. That's the thing. And it's like, if I had to, and genuinely, mate, I mean this, when I was at Carphone, when he said that to us, it genuinely, mate, that one thing, he went, who are you to take that option away from her? And I was like, fuck.
I used to be like that when it came to courses or selling fitness or selling courses, because that's what I was doing before I kind of got into the software side of things. I used to think, right, I've got a... this person said that they wanted to get in shape. This person said that they didn't like their job and they wanted to get into the fitness industry. And I owe it to them to not give up on their dream. So I will fucking pester them until they do it. Because at one point, that's what they wanted, but then their motivation dipped and whatnot. And so I used to be like, right, well, I didn't ever think that I was pestering or anything like that. I was thinking, no, you told me you wanted to do this when you registered your interest. So I'm going to hold you accountable. And I'm going to do everything that I can to get you on. Oh, well, is it pushy? Is it salesy? Yeah, it probably is, because I'm going to get something out of it too, but not as much as they are.
Yeah.
Do you
and
know
it's
what I
only salesy to the person that doesn't have the business doing it.
Yeah.
It's only salesy because you're the recipient of this back and forth or these type of comms. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't see it. Like, it's weird because with marketing, it's funny because, like, I would say I'm really good at sales, all that good stuff, but I'm also the biggest sucker in the world for it as well. Like, I can be sold to by any fucker. Oh, man. Honestly, mate, like, I'm the weakest person in that scenario. Like, if you put something in front of us and package it properly, there's a good chance I'm going to buy at some point. Yeah. I'll probably give you a bit of friction, but ultimately, I'll probably make the decision. I mean, I've done it with you.
Mate.
Do you know what I mean? To a degree.
Can you do me a favour? There's a It's Time bottle on there, please, mate. Could you just bring that over? You're a sucker for sales, mate.
Oh, well, then let's have a look at
I'll
this.
buy anything.
And what's this about?
This is Bruce Buffer's It's Time aftershave.
Oh, God, man.
Do you know It's Time? I bought this with real money that I worked hard for. I saw it on a clip of Logan Paul's podcast, and I just...
Have you used it?
It smells okay. Do you want to smell it?
Go on.
It smells okay. In fact,
Was it pricey and all?
it was like 50 quid. It's
Still
not
though,
cheap.
50 quid that you don't want to spend, like, just for the craft. Like,
It's okay, though.
it smells like Jean Paul.
Yeah, well, I've never tried that, but yeah, go for it. Yeah, it's all right. But yeah,
time.
if that's not being like
Sold to.
I just like him saying it's time because it excites me, and I like the UFC.
But there's nothing wrong with that, is there?
And I bought that. I mean, yeah, I'm an idiot.
I don't think there's not. That's what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with that, and I do think you've got to buy things to understand where value is. I mean, do you know Alex Hormozy?
Yeah.
So he said something, purely paraphrasing here. There was a woman who made something like fucking 50 grand a year, and he wrote down on the board a million quid. And then he put above it 50 grand. And she went, do you know that you're effectively spending 950 grand a year to make 50 grand? because that's how much money you're leaving on the table because you're choosing to make 50 grand. I've totally fucking butchered that. But do you know what I'm
mean,
do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, for instance, you know, if Bruce Buffer releases another aftershave, I can guarantee you won't buy it.
Yeah,
So,
I've done
so
it
the
now.
cost was 50 quid.
Yeah,
But if Bruce Buffer had actually bought out one for 250, you might have fucking spent 250.
yeah.
Because you'd never spent the 50 quid to know.
Yeah.
And I've said this on a podcast in the past, you
That's
know,
a good
mate.
point.
And our last says to me, I mean, I must have had 20 odd jobs, mate. I've worked at Nissan, Asda, Carphone, fucking, I've done it all. I've had different businesses and stuff. They've all failed, every fucking one of them, apart from the business I'm in, the content PT. And me partner, she's had the same job since she left school, unbelievable at her career, like. And I said to her, I wish I was like you. Like, I wish I could just switch off. I wish, not saying she switches off, like, because she works very hard, but I wish I could just kind of leave my job at 5, come home and kind of, and it's almost like fulfilling because you've dedicated yourself to this
what
career.
You're supposed to, yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's great. Like, you've went to school, you've went through and you've progressed through the career and stuff. And she said, yeah, but you know, with you having all them jobs, because I was like, it looks scatty as out, like having all these jobs. She was like, yeah, but you know what you don't want.
Yeah.
And she was like, and I was like, fuck. I was like, do you know what? Because I'd never thought of it like that as well. Like, every time I did a course or every time I did a job, and I used to think, like, I used to beat myself up, like, why can I not stick to a job? Like, I hate this. Like, I remember working at Nissan, and the guy on the line was like, you've got to work faster. And I was like, fuck that. And I left.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, I could look at it. I didn't have any other income at the time, probably a bit immature and naive, head up my arse a bit ego and stuff like that. But really, like, no, I worked at Nissan to know that I didn't want to work at Nissan.
Yeah.
And that was the lesson. Now, if you don't get that friction early on, some people hate working at Nissan, but they've been there for 20 years. And it's almost like I don't have sympathy for someone who hates what they do and do. I understand they've got
But
bills
there's like
to pay.
a paradox, isn't there?
Of course.
There's a paradox of it's not that bad. I feel
Yeah.
like that's what people fall into the trap of.
Yeah,
of
100%.
something being like, if it was fucking terrible, you just leave. Do you know what I mean? It would be better for it to be terrible than it just being shit, but okay, and it pays the bills. And I feel like that's the trap that a lot of people fall into.
Yeah.
They fall into like a trap of it being not that bad.
But I'm not even the people who, if they find it okay, what's wrong? There's nothing wrong with okay. Like, that, crack on, that's great. I mean the people who genuinely day to day fucking hate what they do and they complain all the time. And it's almost like, but if we're talking about the realms of a job, you can get another job.
I know, but sometimes the feel like, this is what we were saying there about someone changing videographer before.
Yeah.
But what if the next job you do shit and all you've done is like change everything like that? Like whenever.
Yeah, but you're only going from shit to shit.
I know, but sometimes the shit that you know seems like it'll be better than the shit that you don't know.
So
not
therefore,
for me, because I wouldn't do that.
So for me, therefore, it's not as bad as what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because if you feel like going somewhere else could be worse, then stay where you are.
Yeah, I mean,
if that's the case.
I mean, people also like to twist, don't they?
I just think that there can be things like there can be things learnt, mate. Like I worked in when I made a transition to full time into the business. Like I worked full time in construction at a national company. I was doing well. I was on a great salary and stuff. But I knew ultimately, like, I just felt dead, mate. Like, that was the best way to describe it. Like, I know millions of people around the world have said the same thing, but I remember listening to Gary Vee podcast on the way to work every day, stuck in traffic, the same shit. But I literally didn't just clock watch and was bored. I fucking hated every single minute. And I lied to every single person around us, saying, like, nah, it's cool. Like, it was a shirt and tie job. I was working in construction, so I was showing up to sites with my shirt and tie on. I looked the part, good money, and I was marketing. Effectively, that's what I did. I ran the marketing department for this company, and but every single bit of us, it wasn't ego. It wasn't I'm making this other company money, not me. It was just purely I fucking hate this, and I didn't know what it was, mate. And I never forget. I came home one week, right, and this happened, and I've told a few people this. I came home and I was in the kitchen, and I just bought me first house, right. And it was all great, got a mortgage and fucking buzzing and all that. And I remember I came into the kitchen, it was about, I'd been at the job for about probably a year at this point, mate. And I got into the kitchen and I just burst into tears. Don't know why. Didn't feel bad, didn't feel, like there was no worry, there was no, and I didn't have a clue what it was, mate. And I rang our lass at the time and I was like, I can't stop crying. She was like, what's the matter? I was like, no idea, I don't know. Like, can you just come around? Like, come home, type of thing. She came home and I was fine. And then I came around and stuff. Then a couple of days later, it happened again. I was like, what the fuck has happened? And I was like, am I depressed? I was like, I've never ever experienced this in my life. Like I've went through, you know, my best friend took his own life and stuff. Like so I was like, I've been sad and down, but I've never been the depressive type, if that's a thing. But I was like, I don't know what it is, but all I know is this job is sucking the fucking life out of us.
Yeah.
So, and then she was like, you need to leave. Like if it could be that, don't take a risk, just leave. And when you've got a mortgage and everything like that, honestly, mate, she's the best lass in the world. Like, because I know people who were like, doesn't matter, you've got to stick in, man up, just fucking. Yeah, and I needed that, and I got it, and it was like amazing. I think I was out of work for a few months, but I knew, and it was like, right. And I remember, mate, I got a notepad, and I wrote down every single thing that I wanted to do. And I was like, what am I good at? What have I did before? What have I enjoyed? What's bearable? What's tolerable? And I was like, and I just crossed them off. Bearable, nah. Tolerable, nah. What do I fucking love? That's, and I was like, I'm going to do this regardless, because at the end of the day, even if it's I'm just going to breathe for a bit and enjoy some shit.
Yeah.
I need to make money. I couldn't just enjoy something. So I was like, I need to just fucking go back to my old connections and just see what I can do, see what I can spark up. And then, and you know, 5 years on, you know, we're in a good position now. But I remember that feeling. I think a lot of people are scared to admit that they feel that way as well.
Well, I feel like some people feel like they've failed because they've gotten what they thought they wanted, and it's not what they thought it was. Yeah. So then they're like, well, do I know anything? I don't even really know what I want. Like, this is what I told everyone that I wanted. This is what I told everybody, that when I'd get this, I'd be happy. And it's like, you've got to enjoy the sort of journey. I was actually thinking about this today. I was sat in traffic on my way back here, and I was thinking, I'm going to do the podcast tonight. I've got a few bits and pieces to do. I feel good. The week's boxed off. The needle's moved. We've sent things out. We had a meeting with a new client in Boston that we're going to be doing like building work for. I feel good. And I looked to the car to my left, and there was just a bloke sat in this car, and he was just sat like looking forward, just looking straight forward out of the window in traffic. And I was looking around, and I was like, what are other people thinking? Like, are other people just cutting around, like not building anything? And
I think most are.
I would go mental.
Yeah, but
I think that's it. I was literally thinking, maybe it's just me, maybe like, or just me and other people who want to build stuff. Maybe other people, maybe he feels happy on his way back.
That's why I think you should bring guys like that in.
Yeah.
Because that's a good conversation to have. Podcast. You look a bit dead behind the eyes. Is there any chance you can...
I want to know what's going through your fucking head. Turn right here. Follow me there.
No, but you know what I mean. I think
I do know what you mean. I was just looking at a couple of people, and I was thinking, like, what is it that? Because I've got everything else. I've got the family life, this, that, and the other, and I totally get that, and that's awesome. But I just don't think that I would ever be truly satisfied unless I was moving the needle.
Yeah.
But are people happy to just like maybe not do that? Or do you have to do it? Do you have to move the needle to be happy? Even if it's in like something else. So like I'll do gym stuff. I've gotten into jiu-jitsu. I stopped playing basketball because I wasn't getting better. Mm-hmm. Because I couldn't commit to the time that it would take to get better. When you get to like playing for a certain amount of time, obviously if you start playing twice a week, you just slowly get worse. So I fucked it off. Because I was like, I can't do something that I'm just progressively getting shitter at, as other people who I used to be better than are getting better at. I'd rather go and start something new. Jiu-jitsu sounds like the sort of thing that you do for 20 years and then you start getting good at. I'll do that because it's like a slow burner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that.
Do you know what I mean?
I think you do have to move it, but I think ultimately I think humans are progression seekers. I think we do need some form of progression, but I don't think that always means finance or business, does it?
Your job's like 50 hours of the week.
Yeah,
like,
but
imagine if that's not moving forward in any way.
Do you know what, mate?
Form.
Sadly, I actually believe that people don't think of it like that. They think, will this thing that I fucking hate facilitate the shit that I love? And I also don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No,
but it's just not my bag. But you know what's funny? When you were saying about the, you know, I can't remember what you just said about you said something about you did something and you were like, the week's, that's what you said. You were like, the week's boxed off, I've did this, I've moved the needle, da-da-da. I remember, mate, in fact, here's a good example. So I did the Floyd Mayweather fight and I was ringside for that.
That's mental.
And I remember watching these type of people all my life on TV and thinking, fuck me. I mean, mate, I've been creating content for 14 years, right? Yeah. But only the last 4 have I made money from, like proper money.
Yeah.
And I remember watching these fights on TV and stuff and thinking, fucking hell, imagine what do they get paid? What do they do? Like, I used to think, there's just no way a lad from Sunderland can... So I got the call to go down there and create content, and I was ringside. Mate, as soon as I came out of that job, it was about 2 a.m, we did the post-fight press conference. He did his talk and stuff, and I jumped in the car, and I didn't even book a hotel, mate. We drove straight back home. It was a long one. It was about a 20-hour shift. We drove home, mate, nearly fell asleep on the motorway on that. But I was driving home, and I pulled into Weatherby.
Started slapping yourself in the face and stuff.
Legit, it was all that time.
Yeah.
Like, we took turns. It
I
was
love
all
that.
And I said to my colleague, I said, what the fuck are we going to do tomorrow? She said, what do you mean? I said, well, what's the point in going for anyone else now?
Yeah,
So what does it matter now? Do I just go to a local gym and film a coach? Like, what the fuck? Like, what does actually matter now? And I was like, well, money's not going to get any greater from anywhere else. What is the, like, can we keep what you've just said, going back to what you said, can we keep moving the needle? And he was like, well, of course we can, in other ways. It doesn't need to be a better fighter, though. But again, it's very hard for me to, it's like when you said there about you fucked basketball off. Now, I understand the because I'm the same. Like, I would have probably did the same thing. But you got shitter, but you didn't get shitter at giving your time to the sport.
No.
You know what I mean? You still enjoy it. Yeah, you're not getting better, but unless you're turning pro tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I'll still play in the summer. I'll still like go and play for like just recreational sake. And when I'm there and when I'm doing it, I'll still compete.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, that'll never leave me. But it's not something I just wanted to commit my time to.
I get
because
that.
it was taking a lot of time. But I'll go and play it when it's not eating into my other time, and I'll just go and play and enjoy it. But I'm not taking it easy.
But I think you've got to be in a position to have understood or made money or had a success or had some level of success to understand that, because the search would have been still within you if you hadn't been successful in other areas like your business. Like, for instance, you're doing a podcast now, so you are genuinely losing money by doing this.
Yeah.
Because you're saying no to things.
Yeah.
And I'm doing exactly the same. So that would indicate to me that, well, lads, you're probably making enough money to allow you to do this now, which is, you know, touch wood, it stays like this and it only gets bigger and better. But for me, like, it's important to do the shit you love regardless. And like, I remember before, mate, I had a business with 2 other lads, and I started a podcast at the time. I had a marketing business, and I
remember that actually.
And the lad said to us again, one of my business partners said, "Ads, what the fuck are you doing creating a podcast?" I went, "What do you mean? What?" He goes, "You don't create a podcast until you're making a shitload of money. You eat, sleep, and breathe this fucking business until you're in a position where you can dedicate time to a podcast." And I was like, you're totally missing the point, because what you're not understanding is, in order to be successful in business, you need to be happy. Do you not understand that fucking, do you not get it, like, through your head? Like, and these lads didn't get it.
Yeah.
And the great lads as people, but in terms of business, they've achieved in their own way. But ultimately, I know that podcasts are the shit that entertain them. It's all these things that, and it's almost like this, mate. If I said to you, what would you do if you had unlimited money now? The chances are you would do stuff that was free. Yeah, well, you'd go to the gym. Or the things that you would choose to do wouldn't be things that require millions. I would do a lot of the things that I do. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. But I would do a lot of the things that I do now. Yeah, of course you would. I love doing what I'm doing. I realised that, you know, I love building things. Going back to being a kid, building Lego, making shit. I just like making shit. I like there being nothing there. And then when I finish, there's something there, something tangible that I can look at and go, right, that's built, that's done, out the door. I like that. I would continue doing that forever because I just like doing it, and you can always build something new. And based on that, no competitor will ever beat me because I like doing it. Yeah, I love doing this. So what are you gonna do? If I'm doing it, you're not beating me. And if there's even a fucking ounce of you that doesn't quite like this, then I'm gonna keep going longer than you, because 95% of the time, it doesn't even feel like work. And that's why I would tell anybody, I would encourage anybody to get in a gym. Regardless of your mindset, how you feel, how daunting or intimidating it is, nobody can take that away from you. Those gains, whether the newbie gains or gain, regardless, like, no one can touch, like, I don't give a shit, I'll go to the gym 20 fucking times a week, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
They can't take that away from
Yeah.
you. They can't stop you from getting. But they
can't buy
but
it, you
with
can't borrow
business,
it.
it's a little bit different because I've seen it. I've seen the arseholes in business. I've fucking come across so many people who will. I'm not going to mention the name, but I know someone who stopped me from literally getting the biggest gig of my life, and I know them, and they know me, and we're on a level where we can speak. And that person actually went out of their way to stop me from getting that job. Now, it's funny.
From it?
It's funny because you know what happened. So after that happened, no, they didn't. They just didn't want me together.
Fuck, I want to know who
So
they are.
anyway. So after that happened, I actually now get this.
Yeah.
I had to have a meeting, and that guy was on that same panel, right? And I actually, and I just did this out of I'm gonna fucking try being. I'm just gonna try and make myself fucking uncomfortable as fuck. And I actually pushed that guy into a big deal. Fucking I just thought, you know what? You fucking shit on me that bad. I'm gonna fucking make it the best for you.
Pushed
and
that
make
guy into the oncoming traffic. I thought that's what you were going to say.
No,
I pushed that guy in front of the bus.
That's how I felt. That's how I felt. That's how I felt, mate. But actually, I was like, do you know what? I am gonna make you feel fucking ill about what you did. I'm gonna actually benefit your life. And the lad's got kids as well. And I was like, do you know what? Like, this is the thing. Like, and I've had a bunch of fucking messages and all times, and I know that that's gonna fucking kill him.
Mate, do you know what that is? You need to. Have you read Goggins' book about taking people's souls? Mate, I love that. I love the idea. Basically, what he's saying is that if you do something, like, in spite of someone, you kind of take their soul. So, like, you've done that there, and that's going to keep him awake at night, thinking, fuck, I fucked him over. And he's so not arsed about that he's just fucking gives me opportunities anyway.
Now, for me, in that meeting, though, it was funny because the deal, it was never going to me. So it wasn't like it could have been me or him, and I was going, because I would have definitely fucking took the deal over him. Yeah. But it was never going to me, but it was I knew the host, effectively. I'm trying to break it down without giving things away, but I knew the guy who was setting this deal up, and I knew I had the influence. My word would have went. And again, it's just like, I do believe if you do things with the right intentions, mate, that's what pays you. Do you know what I mean? Like, ultimately, like, the amount of things I've did with the right intentions, it's came back full circle. It's been like, fucking hell, like, we'll give it ads. Yeah. Because he's doing this. He's a good example of it, right? So, on my podcast, I had a guy recently called David Swindle, and right. he was Scotland's biggest detective, effectively. Right. And he caught a shitload of serial killers. He caught Peter Tobin, who was like one of the biggest serial killers up and down the country, killing little girls and stuff. Oh. And I sit down with him. But what I did was, he was doing a UK tour, so I booked tickets, paid for them, and all that type of stuff, good seats and that. And dropped him a line, and so I was like, would you come on the podcast? He said, mate, because he gets pestered by James English and all sorts and all these people. Anyway, so he's like, I was like, no, it's fine, I'm coming to your show anyway, like, it's cool. After the show, he came up, we met us, he took us round and showed us the stage and all the backstage, and I got to know him, I got his number and stuff, and I was like, no, I don't want any photos with you, I don't want any of that. It was just like, look, I want to come and support you, I want to come to your show, I'm interested in fucking crime, that's what it is. And afterwards, like, his agent reached out, he was like, he'll do the podcast with you. And I knew that I just took myself out of, because I've been in scenarios where, like, I want this fucking job, I really want this guest, or I really want this deal, and I've pushed myself to a point where, like, ads, you're gonna be fucking pissed right off if you don't get it, because you've psyched yourself up so much and you've bent your energy towards it. But with him, I was like, no, you know what, I'm trying to buy tickets, I don't want them, because he offered us free tickets at this point. I was like, mate, I've already got them, like, don't worry about it. He's like, okay, the least I can do is just show you around and stuff, because you've invited us on your podcast, I know it's not for me, da-da-da. But in the end, it came, and I've got him, he's on the podcast now, to a point where he's obviously promoting that on his UK tour, which is fucking phenomenal for me. But ultimately, it was never, because I didn't see any of these little perks coming off the back of it. Yeah. And that's opened up a world of things for me, which is, it's just right intentions, mate. I think a lot of people, it's their ego. It's like, nah, like, unless it's me getting paid, fuck it. Yeah. Like, just, do you know what, mate? And this is a good thing. I've heard this from, I don't know who it was who said this, but again, I live, like, the service that I put out from the content PT business is very much the same. If you were to say to me, ads, I'm after a wedding photographer, I would not say, yeah, go on, then I'll do it. Yeah. Because I can make $2,500. I'll just put you in touch with a wedding photographer. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, whereas, like, and it's like, oh shit, well, actually, if I need anything else, I'll go to him. Because he will tell me honestly, because he's willing to turn down money for my fucking opinion. Like, his opinion's worth more than money. Like, fuck me, mate. If your opinion's worth more than cash to someone, Fuck me. Imagine if they want your service. Like they're willing to pay you 10 times the cash on anyone. That's the thing.
100%. Like if you're the person who can just help people out, even if it doesn't benefit you, spend a few minutes of your time just pointing someone in the right direction, linking something up. Oh, mate, I'll stick you into a WhatsApp together. Oh, no, I don't want anything. Don't worry about it. They'll keep coming back to you. And eventually, when they ask you for something, it is something you can help them with. And then you can say, you know what, actually, I can help you with that because you're the person who says yes when somebody gets in touch with you. Oh, can you help with this? Yeah, I can actually. I've got a mate who blah, 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 put it together. And it pays you back. And I just think that one of the biggest things that stops people from becoming successful and getting that first initial start, and you mentioned it before, is the unwillingness to do things for free. People who do more than they get paid for eventually get paid for more than they do because essentially they increase the value that they.
You said that in the Breton one, didn't you?
In the what, sorry?
On the David Breton podcast.
I say it
you said
all of the time because
love
it makes so much sense. And I've always done that. I started one of my first businesses off doing a Core X shoot for free with Chris, who came on at the podcast ages ago.
Yeah.
I did a photo shoot for free. He was doing the same photo shoot. We set up a business together and it's led into all of the education stuff that I do now. If I'd been like, no, fuck you, pay me, then I would never have got that. And the biggest issue that people have is that they straight away try and trade their time for money on everything. Look, I know everybody's got different financial positions, but I turned down PT money that day to go and do something for free. And I wasn't in a good financial position. You know what I mean? I was like struggling to pay all my bills. I had the shittest car ever, but I just did it because it was like, you just do those things.
And I think it's having that about you, mate. That again is back to the good intentions thing. Like it's what you're like. For instance, he's another good mate. I'm full of examples today, but he's another one, right? So I had a lad, believe it or not, this was about a year ago, and he went, "Ads, I've seen all the stuff that you're doing with the content PT business, working with all these influencers, PTs, online coaches, etc." He was like, "What I've done is, mate, I've become inspired, and I want to start videography." I was like, "Sound, mate?" He's like, "So I've bought a camera and stuff. I got a loan. I got a setup." He was like, "So I've messaged your clients, like saying I'll do free work." He was like, I was like, fuck me, do I like, I can't knock his hustle. Like, fuck me, he's honest and he's come to me. But secondly, like, who do you think you are? Like, fucking come to me and tell me you're going to poach me clients with free graft. However, I knew I'd be better because he's just starting in that, fair enough, he could have been talented or whatever. But I went, okay, no problem. I said, do your thing. I'm not going to pass your clients, but do your thing. I can't stop you. It's a free world. So what he didn't realise is, I got within that month, mate, you'll know some of the people, but I got about 4 or 5 messages from my clients saying, "Ads, what do you want us to do?" And I was like, "Mate, it's your call." And one of them turned around and went, "Well, I can't turn down free content, can I?" And I was like, No, of course you can't. Get yourself out. So he went and he was like, "Mate, he was fucking shite." And I was like, look, what people don't understand when they try and get in someone's lane or they try and like be snaky about it with the wrong intentions is people talk, mate. And if you've built up respect with someone, like I know by speaking to you, right? Is it FitPro?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm never going to tell anyone to do another course. Yeah. Other than with you.
Yeah.
Why would I? Or not go to fucking that course down. Why? For what? What's the point in doing that? Like, so if someone said to me now, I've just spoke to Alex, mate, he's tried to bump us, I'm going to go there. I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
Why do people don't understand that? People don't realise if you've worked with them in a capacity, you've built a relationship, they're like a friend, like they're not going to do that.
Yeah, it is true. Like, I don't think people like...
They don't realise.
Someone tried to do that to me, and the guy, Chris, who we set they were trying to work with both of us independently. Mm-hmm. The first thing he did was call me. Like, the first thing he did was call. Like, what do you think he's going to do? Be like, oh... people don't realise that there's more to it. People can't see past the initial value proposition of X equals Y. They don't see the wider scale of like, okay, that guy might do some free content for you now. They're not going to just be like, all right, well, we'll just fuck ads off then. Because what is he going to do free content for you forever? They're not thick.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Eventually they're going to have to pay him as well. And they like and know and trust you. So they're just not going to do that.
It's funny because
Do you know what I mean?
Well, I told this to a friend of mine who's got a massive business in Miami, and he's actually worldwide, but he's fucking mad. And he's Cuban, mate, so he's just fucking off the charts anyway. His accent, his attitude, he's wild, mate. He always says how Sunderland's like a ball and chain to me, and that, and I need to just flap me wings and stuff. But I told him, and I was like, "What do you think I should do about this guy?" He was like, "Destroy him." He was like, "You've got to destroy. You can't let." He went, "Destroy him or make him work for you." And I was like, because some people do take that strategy on, like, well, if you're going to effectively do shit for free, do it for free, that's going to benefit me.
Yeah.
So join me and we'll build something bigger. So that got us thinking as well. I do think there's some merit in that. I think if people are in your industry potentially delivering a shit service, it's going to do one or two things. It's going to open up the door for you to go and then go, actually, well, I'll just do it properly and take the client. So in a way, they're actually promoting you by doing a shit job. Or collaborate with them in some way and teach them. Yeah. Because ultimately, mate, you can't, like you could hire someone today. He could work for you. He could be your best sales guy in the world and get on all the bums on seats. But he's building your connections and he could leave you tomorrow. Yeah. Regardless of contractual agreements, he could still leave you tomorrow. Yeah. And stop doing it for 6 months and start again. And he's still got the clients because people don't forget people. So ultimately, like, it's about how you are. And again, it's back to that, mate. Like, for me, it's always about having good intentions. I've had a shitload of people who've tried to do certain things. I mean, mate, I've had people work for us. I've had people who I've trained up who are literally creating content now in the UK. They're literally copying the content that I'm creating. Like, I'm talking like effects, filters, transition, like verbatim, like
it's
proper.
It's almost impossible though, isn't it? Like, you've got people, like fitness, it's terrible for. You'll get a PT in, you'll train them up, you'll show them everything, you'll start handing off clients to them. Once they get enough clients, they go, oh, that's good. I'll just do my own thing now and fuck you off and just take all your clients. But you've just got to know that if you provide quality, if you build those connections, you'll be able to build something special and nobody can take that away from you. It's just like building your body in the gym. It's like eventually get to a point and people can't take that away from you. And the people who are willing to just be flaky and leave, you didn't want them anyway. And you just gotta take it. You gotta roll with the punches a little bit.
And mate, there's enough to go around. There's enough food for everyone, mate.
That's true.
Like ultimately, like you could have another 25 videographers in the Northeast and I'm still going to make my money. Yeah. Like, I'm still going to build this business because ultimately, regardless about who's best, it's never about who's best. It's about who can build that with people. Like it's people, it's always going to be people. Regardless, like people hire me because I can make them look great in a gym. But really, who can't? Like, you're in a gym, you've got a pump on, you probably look great, you stage lean. Like, it's very hard to fuck that up as long as you know what you're doing. But ultimately, it's almost like, it's relationship. So afterwards, like, it's a big thing I'm on. Like, for instance, I got a message today, ads, I'm doing this thing. What camera do I get? I'm not trying to say, no, don't get one, mate, just come to me. I literally Amazon linked him, give him all the shit that he needed. Quality. Set up your own shit, mate. You don't want to be wasting money on me if you can do shit yourself. Okay. Because I know in my head, I don't need your custom. Yeah. I don't need it.
When you get to that level where you feel comfortable, then you can, the biggest mistakes people make are when they're not in a good financial position. Because then they have to do shit that they don't really want to do.
So you know what's a good analogy of that, Alex? Have you ever been in a casino?
Yes.
Right, okay, so when I was 18, I remember this. I was in a casino, I had 50 quid, it was my 18th birthday. I think I won 500 quid. 400, something like that. Anyway, I never gambled, anyway, I won this money. And I just carried on winning money after that. Because I didn't care about the 50 quid. Like, I was like, 50 quid, it's my birthday, whatever. I was going on the town after. And I think I left the casino with like stupid amounts, mate. Not stupid amounts, but 1,200 quid. But to me, as it is, I was like, yeah. But I kept winning because I didn't care. I didn't need it. If you try to win something and you know you need it, if you put a tenner on black, it's not a good analogy because I'm not a gambler, but it's the same principle of when I did that. If you put a tenner on black and it's all you've got, I bet you lose. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's no different in business. If you need that custom, what you'll do is, for one, you'll end up giving people a cheap service because you want that cash flow. You want that bum on the seat. But ultimately, you've dropped your standard. You're going to do it. You're not making a lot of money. your output's going to be shit. You're so desperate, you'll probably do everything. The person will then actually go, do you know what?
They'll take the piss out
They'll
of you.
take the piss,
Yeah.
and then the next person,
But then you'll do a shit service because you sold yourself short. So now you have to do 10 times as many clients to make the same amount of money.
Yeah, exactly.
So now you have to spread yourself too thin. Now people aren't happy with your service. So now you're actually worth what they're paying. They're paying bottom dollar and you're worth bottom dollar because you're running yourself ragged. And people can smell it on you. Like, if you need it, they'll take the piss and they'll be like, meh.
Yeah,
not too
exactly.
sure.
That's the thing,
If you
isn't
just
it?
say to them, right, look, this is the crack, take it or leave it, we're ready to go, these are the contracts, if you're interested in getting started, X, Y, and Z, just let us know and we'll look at how we can fit you into the pipeline. Right now, we're looking at 4 to 6 weeks to get anything started. Obviously, we would love to work with you. We think we're a great fit. Please let us know how you'd like to proceed. Like, the ball is in your court.
yeah, exactly.
These are the rules. People forget that when you're selling, you set the rules. People think the buyer sets the rules because they're the ones with the money.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
exactly.
you don't set the rules.
No,
I've got the money when I go to Apple, but I can't just start fucking chucking extra bits and bobs in. Oh, stick a charger in there, stick a wire in there.
Aye,
I'm
knock
the guy
50
with the
quid
money.
off. Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh, well, you can just not have that.
Yeah, and that's how you have to do it.
Yeah.
But when you're starting out, it is hard. It's hard.
But you should just do things for like free at first.
Yeah.
Start building up slowly, but always set the tone. I'd love to work with you. This is where I'm at the moment. We're in a transition period. We're getting better and we value what we're doing with you. It's going to be cheaper now. This is the plan. It's going to increase at these times as we, gain exposure and we get everything out of this. Because you're one of the first people, I'm going to use the stuff that you've done for promotion, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
You're getting this cheaper because I'm using it as promotion.
Yeah.
When I'm no longer in that position, I don't need to do that. It'll be going up. If you're okay with that, hopefully by the time we get to that point, you'll be so happy with the results anyway. You'd pay me 5 times as much, but don't worry, I'll only charge you twice as much.
And it's also not treating people different as well, mate.
Yeah.
Like the amount of, this has happened loads. In the last 4 years with the content PT, this has happened a lot where I've turned down, regular income to go and work for that big job. But I've also did it where I've literally worked for free because of the marketing pull I can get out of that job and turned down fucking shitloads of money. Like, some of the deals that I've been offered are stupid. But I also know what I'm trying to achieve. I'm not one of those guys who are trying to achieve a fucking Rolex watch. I'm not trying to achieve, don't get me wrong, like, all them things are lovely, but I'm not trying to achieve those things.
Yeah.
As I say, you're covering your Rolex there. No, do you know what I mean? Like, Rolex watch. No, do you know what I mean? So, have you got a Rolex on? No, thought you did. But yeah, like, I know what I'm trying to achieve. I want this thing to be so much bigger than a bunch of people from the northeast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's definitely got a Rollie on.
I do totally 2 of them. 2 Rolexes, one at each time. So.
Get 4.
Cool. Yeah. Mate, I totally understand that. Like, it's about building something that you can be proud of, that will stand the test of time. And if you can delay that gratification a little bit, you'll
That's
get
it, like, isn't
tenfold
it?
back. And I think that's what it is. Like, your ability to work for cheap, for free, doing stuff like that is a delay of your gratification. No, I want that big contract now because I want the money, because I want to go out and get something on tick, because I want to do this, because I want to do that. Delay it a little bit. Get in the trenches. Get your head down. Don't give a shit if that person is making more than you right now. They're doing something different than you.
Mate,
They're running a different race.
Yeah, and do you know what? It doesn't sit right with me as well. I don't know if you've listened to any of my podcasts, mate, but I've said this to a few of the guests, right? I've always struggled with treating myself to stuff, always, no matter what, mate. If right, I've wanted a nice fucking car. I've never ever had a nice car in my life, mate. I drive a Golf. I've never ever had a nice car. But I've never had a nice car. But I was like, well, I'm not going to wrap, because obviously I've wrapped that in the logos and the branding and stuff. I'm not going to wrap anything decent in it, but it's going to do the job. So I was like, okay. But I was like, when is the point where I go and get the Merc or get whatever it is? But in my head, there's 2 ways I think, right? Unless it's the Bentley I'm after, I don't want it.
Yeah.
So what the fuck's the point in spending £500 a month on a car?
Yeah.
600, I don't give a shit.
Because you'll never be happy with that.
I'll never be happy with that.
I've always found that, like, if you do something that you're not entirely happy with, you're just looking for the next thing all the time. You get that. It's like desire's just the contract that you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get something that you want.
Yeah, exactly.
And, like, you can always desire something different. So detach yourself from that.
But mate, if I pulled, this is what I'm saying, I don't know how it sits with me. If I pulled to a gym, like a pure gym, or any budget, whatever gym it was, in a Porsche, to deliver to a client who's making 400 quid a month.
Now,
I just don't know how I could say, right, it wouldn't sit well with me,
there's
mate.
I talk about this all the time. So there's two different types of people. There's the type of people that would just turn off completely and they'd be like, no, fuck you, I paid for those rims, X, Y, and Z. I'm the opposite. You turn up like that and I'm like, shit, I've hired the right guy because this guy must be shit.
I do
hot.
understand that.
So there's two different mentalities, but you won't catch everybody.
I do think there's a lot of faking until they make it, though. I do feel like there's a lot of that, like, because anyone in this room could go and get a fucking G-Wagon on tick right now.
Yeah.
What is that doing?
Look, there's certain things. I don't want my fucking defense lawyer turning up in a piece of shit car. I want him turning up in a fucking Ferrari because I want to know I've hired the right guy. I want my defense lawyer to turn up in a fucking fleet of supercars and crush whoever I'm coming up against. I want my financial advisor to turn up in something that looks sensible, not too good, not a piece of shit. Do you know what I mean?
What do you want your videographer to turn up in?
Something practical that says, I care about what I do. And I've got a lot of kit with me.
All right, that's fair.
Do you know what I mean? Something like, you know what I mean? I don't want to be like, I feel like a golf's a great, like VWs are reliable. Do you know what I mean? You're not fucking around with something that like you might not be able to make it to your shoot. Like you've thought about that. Yeah.
And mate, like I know I'm doing 2,000 miles a week. I'm thinking but like what am I really?
Is it a diesel?
No, it's not, mate.
Is it not?
It's not, mate. But like what am I?
Much?
No, but do you know what I mean, mate? Like that's what I'm saying though. Like the fact that like I'm willing to hammer that into the ground.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I would be with something nice. Like and again, I don't think it's from that. I mean, for instance, mate, right?
Wait, it'd be worth fuck all when you finish with it, mate.
That's what I mean.
Like loads of miles.
I've always wanted like a Rollie. I've always wanted just a day adjuster, not fucking no crazy. And I saw one for about 11 grand about a year ago, and I thought I want that fucking watch. And I thought, I understand the business element of it gets you into certain rooms and people are into watches and the good chance they've got in business.
Yeah.
But for me, like, I live in Sunderland, mate.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the only one on the street with a watch.
Off for that.
Like, probably, mate. They'd probably take your arm and chop your torso off. Think of it that way, mate.
Keep your arm.
Keep your arm, mate.
Keep it as well.
But do you know what I mean? Like, legit, like, and I just don't know what, like, is the point. But my friend made a good point to us, my colleague. He turned around to me and he said, Ads, you know what, though? You've got the perfect reason to go and buy that. Not because of you've had a bit of success in business, but more because of, like, since I was a kid, there's a certain watch I've always wanted. And it's just like, I don't even know why, I just wouldn't take it off. I'm not one of these that, I'd keep it nice and I wouldn't wear it.
Yeah.
No, mate, I'd wear it in the fucking gym. So I'd wear it to death, and I think that's who a watch is made for. But for me, there's only one type, unless it's that. But I wouldn't want a fucking AP of 120 grand. It's not like I'm not a watch, I'm not into watches.
Yeah.
There's just one watch that I liked that my sister's partner had when I was a young'un.
Yeah.
And I was like, I fucking want that watch.
Yeah.
So I think I've always kind of had that in my head. So it's like, but then at the same time, I feel like it's such a dick. Like I wear gym clothes and fucking shorts. I mean, I'm wearing shorts fucking winter. Do you know what I mean? Like I probably wouldn't suit that type of stuff. So for me, it's a bit cheesy. It's a bit like, oh, what are you doing? Like, what are you trying to do? Like, really? Like, I don't know why, mate. I don't know why.
I bet you're like me though. I bet you go through peaks and troughs of your thinking on that sort of thing. Sometimes you find it gross. Sometimes you think, yeah, I really deserve one. Sometimes you're like, oh, who would I be?
I've never done it, mate. That's the thing.
Do you go through like, does your mindset go through like, thinking, oh yeah, it's a good idea. Oh no, who would I be kidding? Oh no, come on, I deserve it. Oh, everyone would think I look like a dick. Is it like, do you go through like different phases of thinking that?
Nah, I really don't.
You just always think I don't want it.
I always think that I don't deserve it. It's not that I don't want it. It's the fact that I want the things, but I don't deserve them. And it's not that I'm tight with money. It's not that I'm, I budget. It's none of that. It's mate. He's a good example, right? So I did the KSI job, and this is get this, mate, get this mindset, and you're probably gonna think you fucking tight bastard, but right. So I'm in London, and I did the KSI job. After the job, I stayed in London for all of fight week, and I came out of the event the next day. I walked out the hotel, and I thought I'm gonna go into London. I went to Shoreditch, I mooched around, then I went across to Cole Buxton, and it's funny because Henry will probably, because he was there at the time, Henry from Chain and Navel,
yeah,
he'll probably laugh when he sees this clip, but I met him, I was a bit chat with him, and anyway, I went into Cole Buxton, and I was looking at the piece. I'd never owned anything to that, and I bought a T-shirt, mate, right? And I fucking love this T-shirt, mate. I think it was 100 quid or something. Just that. It wasn't like no major, mate. But and again, even that like sounds icky to me. Like now, mate, 100 quid in a T-shirt's pricey as fuck. Like I still think it is. And I sat. You know what I did, mate? I walked up the road. There was a little pub. I bought a pint of Guinness, and I sat down, and I was like, "Shall I return it?" That's what I did. I was like, I might return this. I was like, because I felt sick. I was like, I'm not from a world where that's okay. Like, don't get me wrong, mate. Like, I'm 33 year old now.
Did you return it?
No, I kept it. But and then I bought a lot more fucking shit. But But again, it was all because I was like, no, well, I deserve these. If I want, like, it was never like, what should I fucking do? But it was more like people don't like a lot of people who wear like, and I know that's just that particular brand, and it's a lovely brand, but there's people who are wearing stupid brands like where they cost thousands.
All
but
I'm saying about
them people are never. I don't know many people who are successful in business to warrant what they do.
Yeah,
it's a lot of the people who seem like they don't have the money, and I'm like, what the fuck's that about?
Yeah.
For me, it's not what I'm trying to pull off.
I've seen those rocking Dior but sleeping on the floor.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
No, look, when it comes to purchasing things, yeah, bro.
That's good.
So when it comes to those sort of things, as long as you don't fucking look at whatever it is and think, fuck, I wish I had the money for that now, ever.
Yeah.
I never look at anything that I buy and go, oh, fuck, I wish I had the money for that in my bank right now. If that's not the case, then that's fine. Then you've made a good purchase. Do you know what I mean? You're not resenting the purchase months after.
They say, don't they, if you can buy it 3 times, that's when it's a purchase.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, if you can buy something 3 times, it can warrant kind of buying it.
I get that. No, there's definitely some mindset shifts that you have to go through when you come from a working class background in order to get yourself to the position to not see things as everything being a massive risk. But no, I think next time you're on the podcast, are you going to have that Rolex? That's the question. No,
I won't, mate.
Nah,
I don't think I will.
Maybe the Cole Buxton t-shirt.
Maybe, mate.
You'd wear that.
Not even that. Like, it's just, mate, I just don't. I can't say it. I feel a bit icky doing it. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know what it is, mate. I don't know where that comes from, but I just don't think it's something that'll ever kind of.
Eventually.
But you know what?
Yeah.
You know what? I love this, right? And this is how mad I am with this type of shit. I love the thought of this. Being very wealthy, having a middle of the road car, wearing a standard fucking tee, like a nice tight white tee, right? Being in good nick, training hard, having what anything you want you can have, but not getting it. I don't know, mate. I love dangling down my own carrot,
like edging.
Just mate, I do. That's what it's like. It's like I'm gonna pull back, like edging, mate. I do, but that's how I feel. Like I do. Do you know what I mean?
You got your credit card on the till and you just keep holding it back.
No, but I do. That's how I feel, mate.
Buy that Rolex. Put it on me. Yeah, take it back off. Take it off. Tell me I'm a piece of shit.
No,
tell me I don't deserve it.
That is my mentality, mate. I'm weird like that, you know? I mean, I don't do that, mate, but I am weird. I am weird, like...
No, I know what you mean.
It's fucking weird. I don't know what it is. Like, I just feel like...
the desire thing. The desire thing. The fact that desire is a contract with yourself to be unhappy until you get something that you want. Maybe detaching yourself from that.
Can I ask you a question? Because you're always in good gear. Do you... If I was to rip that brand off that top there, would you still have bought it?
I'll tell you what.
How in love are you with mustard and black?
This is the only... I'm into these colours at the moment. This is the only Hugo Boss thing that I own. And the fact that it's Hugo Boss almost made me not buy it. Because I don't like Hugo Boss. But it was from, like, do you know the Range near the Metro Centre? Yeah. And it was like, it was supposed to be like 180 quid. And it was like 90 quid. And I thought, I like that. That's the sort of thing that I'd buy. I'm going to get that. But it was because it was discount. Now, if it had been 90 quid, and it was 90 quid, I probably wouldn't have bought it.
So you got sucked into the marketing.
I did, yeah. But the fact that
because you do know it was never 180, didn't you?
No, it was. I'm pretty sure.
No, but it wasn't.
Yeah, okay, but it wasn't. No, it's Hugo Boss, though, mate. It's fucking Hugo Boss, mate. I was worried that people would see me wearing Hugo Boss and think that I was harder than I am, and it might cause me some trouble. Would you wear the things you wear if you couldn't post anything ever? Yeah, I don't post anything really.
Yeah.
I like these are from Zara. Mm-hmm. I like I
know what you mean.
Yeah, I mean,
there's nothing wrong with looking nice. It's not what I'm getting at. It's just in terms of like.
Though. I think the
have you made any of those purchases like where you've just been fucking? I'm just buying the watch. I'm buying the fucking car. I know you've had nice cars and stuff, but I mean, like, have you ever just been like, actually, do you know what? Like, I'm getting it because of the brand here.
Yeah, I wrestle with things like that.
Do you?
Sometimes because I tell myself that things are better than they are because they're branded.
Yeah.
For me, it's kit. Like, everything that I've got's Apple. Like, there is better things out there probably, but I'd feel dirty not using Apple.
I'm the same with
Not
stuff
dirty,
like
as in,
that.
I would just feel like not sleek.
Do you know what's funny though? Because
But mate, I'm a like you, mate. I'm a fucking consumer. Like, I love it. I like being sold to. Like,
Yeah.
oh, would you like that? Yeah, I do.
my mate said to me about but we're talking about Mercedes, funny enough, and he was like, "Yeah, but you're not really paying for the car. You're paying for the service. That's why they charge what they charge." I'm like, "No, I want to pay for the fucking car. Like, it's the product. I don't. Don't get me wrong. If you get great service, that's great, and that's what it's all about. I understand. But if I'm buying a phone, I want the phone to be the best phone for me. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not buying the phone because it's fucking Apple. Do you get what I'm saying? It is the best for me. Do you know what I mean? I know from an image point of view, even with Apple stuff, like, that is the stuff that creators use. So it fits my identity. Whereas a nice car doesn't.
Oh, mate, I buy Apple products. I buy an Apple phone because the thought of me sending a text message to someone and it turns green makes me feel ill. Because when someone texts me and it turns green, I'm like, ugh.
Oh, mate.
No, I'm just so indoctrinated into it. Like, everything that I've got is Apple. Fuck, mad that, innit?
It's mental, mate. Absolutely mental.
I love Apple.
I am a fan. Like,
but why though?
How long you been with Apple?
Ages, probably like 12 years or something.
I think once you kind of buy into a system, though,
it's too late for me. It's too late for me. My computer is airdropping stuff. They've got me suckered in. But yeah, the designer stuff, mate. I could take it or leave it.
What can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What was the? I feel like I'm podcasting you.
No.
What was the reason you got me on the podcast?
Mate, I've always liked the stuff that you've done.
What is it like? Because everyone's creating content.
Yeah, mate, you've been doing it for a long time. You were one of the first people that I saw to like actually make that your job. Like you put it on your name. You were like the content PT. You could have done anything within videography, but you chose to do that one thing, and I like that. I like the whole niching down thing. You could have been ads the videographer, and you'd have been really good at it. You'd have been successful. You'd have done a wedding every weekend. You'd have done some gym stuff through the day. You'd have done some commercial stuff. But I love the fact that you went the content PT.
Yeah.
I do personal trainers, and I get good at that. And obviously it's in the fitness industry and stuff like that. But I always knew that, like, I have a list of people that when I started the podcast, I've got a list of about 20 people that I just wrote straight away, and you were on that first list.
That's amazing, mate. I appreciate that. Like, do you have any big guests coming on? Or is that not what it's about? Like,
I've got some people that I know. A guy who's coming on when he gets a few things sorted with what he's doing. He's got like 1 million TikTok followers and like 500k Instagram followers. He's probably going to be the biggest so far. Is there
a certain criteria, or is it just anyone who seems interesting here in some way?
So I like something to do with business, or like keeping it within that sort of realm of you doing something through social media or through business.
Yeah, of course.
I feel, but obviously that applies to so many fucking people. But like that's what I'm keeping it at. Actually, saying that, I've got an athlete coming on next week, so just people that I'm interested in talking to.
That's meant that. I'm surprised you haven't got a shitload of basketballers in there.
Yeah, I've got basketball coming on soon. It's just not that big here, is it? Really?
I get that.
LeBron's busy, and
but it's online. Why does it have to be big here?
Yeah, no, I've spoke to somebody about that as well. I have got a content room downstairs that I could do it online as well. I do need to sort that out.
Definitely, mate. Like I said, you've got a good setup here, though.
I appreciate
far better than mine, mate. So I think you should just keep. That's the beauty with it, isn't it, mate? Like, it's not hard to secure guests because people love to talk.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, even with me, to be honest, I didn't know we were doing a podcast today. I thought I was just coming in for a crack on people. And then I was like, well,
may as well do a crack on in front of the.
Why not? Do you know what I mean? Like, but for me, it would be a whole thing. Like, well, mate, I'm gonna have to get a location sorted. I'm gonna, like, do you get what I'm saying? Whereas with you,
we had as good a conversation before.
Yeah, of course.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. Like,
and that's what I wanted to share with people. Because those little things that you say that are throwaway comments to you because you've been in it and in it and in it and in it might be the one thing that goes, fucking hell, I could just do some stuff for free or get my name out there. And, you know, it might not be videography, it might be something totally different. In practice, it's unlikely to be videography, to be something totally different. Well, actually, you know, there might be a kid from Sunderland watching this.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? There might be, there's loads of stuff like that. But yeah, mate, I really appreciate you coming on.
Anytime, mate.
And yeah, I'm pretty close to taking everyone off my first list at like 20. So
have you got a few in the bank to release or not? Or are you doing them kind of?
No, so we're usually like 2 weeks in advance. This one will actually come out next Friday, which is like,
all right, mate.
This one's only a week in advance, but then we're shooting 3 next week. So it's like,
yeah,
do you know what I mean? It's just like,
if you can try and get ahead, it's a good idea. Like,
I know, but it's difficult with people like their timing and stuff. And then obviously I don't have bags of spare time, but
yeah, that's fair enough, mate.
But yeah, mate. But any advice and stuff on the podcast? I mean, we talk, so I'm sure you'll tell me stuff. And
of course, mate.
I'd love to come and do yours wherever we
100%,
are.
mate. You're more than welcome. Like I say, I can travel here. You can come to a location
anywhere,
or something like that.
I'll come over Sunderland, mate.
But I'm 100% like, I want it because I know that like even what you're doing, there's a shitload of people again who want to do something like that. Yeah. I know there is. I know there is. And I feel like there's stuff that you're just not going to touch on unless you have conversations. Yeah, and again, mate, I didn't have a clue where this was going to go.
Yeah.
Do you know? But there's probably something that one of us have said about like, that's decent. That's 10 seconds. Do you know what I mean?
If one thing that one of us says inspires someone to do something that they've always wanted to do, then this has been a successful podcast, and I'm happy.
Perfect, mate. And again, I feel like someone in the Northeast or someone listening or watching this now who is looking for content, they may go, actually, I didn't know about the content PT.
Oh, mate, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I know that's a plug, but it's truly like if you are looking for that, like why, like you may not know, mate, the amount of people who, like, you're in education, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because you put yourself out there in a certain way, and I've seen you in Ultraflex, and I've seen you in certain gyms and stuff like that, like, it intrigued me. So what does he do?
Yeah.
If you'd had a podcast, I wouldn't have needed to meet you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's possible. I know about this now.
I think a lot of my network and stuff's fitness as well. So always doing stuff with you is always going to, you know, there's a lot of PTs and stuff that I work with.
Yeah, of course.
And obviously anybody who ever asks about content, I fire them your way.
Sweet, mate. No, it's appreciate, mate.
Spot on, mate.
No, I appreciate, mate. Thanks for your time, mate. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Thank you, mate.